This was a historic year for women in political office. A woman sworn in, of course, as Vice President of the United States for the first time in history. And a record-breaking number of women were sworn into the country's 117th Congress. We're joined right now by The Hill's Julia Manchester, who recently penned a piece on this topic. Of course, as you know and as you wrote, Julia, this year represents a much larger movement for women to be in political office. What are the biggest factors, do you think, influencing more Americans to actually run for office, more women to run for office, looking into the future?
Well, it's interesting, Adrienne. Ever since 2018, when we saw that big wave of Democratic women come into Congress, followed by a bigger, also big wave of Republican women in 2020, we've seen this trend of both parties electing more women out of primaries into the general election continue. So this year, obviously a smaller election year. You had a gubernatorial race and lieutenant gubernatorial race, as well as down ballot state legislative races in Virginia. Some mayoral races across the country in big cities like Boston, for example, and Atlanta, as well as a number of congressional special elections. And some of the trends I noticed in those races is that you saw actually a number of women and also women of color running against each other, which, well, is a convenient problem to have because you see both parties electing women out of primaries. And that was considered to be a bit of a difficult task before the last couple of years when we saw more women coming into primaries. I think politics for a while has been seen as a bit of an old boys club, if you will, with most men being elevated out of primaries because of a financial advantage, bigger name recognition, seen as more of a safer candidate. But this year definitely changed that game.
What was the most high-profile race where a woman secured the victory in 2021?
I think there were a couple. To start off with, I would say that in Virginia's lieutenant gubernatorial race, Winsome Sears, the Republican nominee in that race, became the first Black woman to be elected to that post and the first woman to be elected to that post. I mean, that's a major victory considering that Virginia not too long ago really was the seat of the Confederacy. So really a major look at progress in that state and really across the country. You also saw in Boston, Michelle Wu became the first woman of color to be elected to lead that city. And then there were some special congressional races in Ohio area, Cleveland area, congressional race. We saw Chantel Brown win that district. She'll go on to represent that district in Congress. So you've seen not only victories for women, but in particular women of color this year, which I think shows a very promising trend going into 2022 when we have much more races on the ballot, given that it's a midterm year.
And looking ahead to 2022, what races are important to keep an eye on ahead of the upcoming midterm elections?
Well, I think there's a number of them. I think first of all, we have to start out with some of the primaries that are happening right now. For example, and I've been paying attention quite a bit to races happening in New Hampshire, Virginia, and Ohio. That Ohio Senate race is very important to watch. That race, particularly on the Republican primary side, to replace outgoing Senator Rob Portman. Jane Timken is a woman running in that race. That's going to be a very contentious primary. In New Hampshire, you obviously have a very important Senate race and gubernatorial race. Maggie Hassan on the Senate side is running for re-election for her seat. And you also have a number of highly contested House races in that state. So watch those primaries to see who gets out of those primaries and those House races, particularly in the first and second districts of New Hampshire. And then in Virginia, once again, that will be a bellwether state again. We're waiting to see what redistricting looks like in that race. But in 2018, we saw Abigail Spanberger, Jennifer Wexton, and Elaine Loria. They were part of that blue wave that was comprised much of women in 2018. They will be up for re-election again. Abigail Spanberger probably facing the toughest climb, depending on what her district looks like after redistricting.
All right, Julia, that was a mouthful, but we're going to give all the ladies their roses early. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and a wonderful day to you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.